members of the armored force are at Edgewood Arsenal, Maryland, to try out with real mustard gas a procedure for decontamination which has been worked up as a result of previous experiments. The reason for this trial of procedure is the belief that when Axis soil is invaded, the enemy may resort to chemical warfare, and the armored force does not intend to be surprised. From World War I, we know that casualties can be excessive if protection is neglected. In August 1918, there were so many gassed in this sector in France by an enemy mustard gas chute that Field Hospital number 326 could not accommodate them all. Persistent gas burns may be severe. These are pictures of burns in World War I. Years of intensive research brought forth secret preparations which will neutralize persistent agents. These preparations are in the form of protective ointment, which men may use when splashed by persistent gas, in liquid form, which may be sprayed on equipment which is contaminated, and which with a binder can be used to impregnate fabrics, and in wax form for leather to make them all resistant to persistent gas. Untreated fabric equipment absorbs persistent chemicals. Therefore, on orders to move to a theater of operations, units not equipped with gas-impervious top, seat, and weapons covers will impregnate small pieces of ordinary fabric equipment by dipping in a special solution. Large pieces of fabric equipment and fabric equipment which cannot be removed from vehicles will be impregnated by applying the heated solution with a brush or broom. Vehicle crews are instructed that when they are in the range of enemy aviation, that impregnated top covers for scout cars and personnel carriers, when not in place over the vehicle, will be unrolled and used inside the vehicle to cover ammunition, rations, and equipment. Prior to entry into active operations, armored force soldiers will be issued impregnated clothing, shoe impregnite, and special individual cellophane covers. 3 of these cellophane covers are carried by each soldier in his gas mask carrier. These covers are impervious to persistent gas, and after they are contaminated, they are thrown away. Light tanks carry one 1 1/2 quart decontaminating apparatus called a Decon 1 1/2, filled with DANC. Medium tanks and scout cars carry 2, and half-track personnel carriers and self-propelled mounts carry 3. This piece of equipment throws a fine spray of decontaminating liquid which will neutralize persistent gas on contact. Swabs, which the crew members improvise by tying waste or rags to sticks, are carried in vehicles so that the men will not get their hands contaminated when spreading the DANC. Each company carries 200 pounds of chloride of lime and 6 3-gallon apparatuses called Decon 3s in its supply trucks for decontamination purposes. The Decon 3 sprays DANC by air pressure, which is built up by pumping the handle 20 to 30 times. It will then continue to spray for some time. The enemy can spray chemicals from planes. The attacking plane doesn't have to be directly overhead. It may take advantage of the wind to float the chemical shower on its target. One airplane can spray an area roughly 1 mile long by 1/4 mile wide within a few seconds. Such a spray attack will distribute the drops evenly over the entire area. To protect itself against aimed fire, enemy combat aviation may first blanket our troops with smoke. And then spray the smoked area with chemicals from other planes. Armored force soldiers have been well prepared to meet airplane spray attacks. Men in open vehicles put on their cellophane covers immediately when spray attack is imminent, and then mask under the cellophane covers. Crews of closed vehicles are not directly exposed to the spray, but must put on masks at once to protect themselves against the vapor. Cellophane covers keep liquid chemicals off clothing, and at the same time allow crew members to control the vehicles and to operate machine guns in firing and attacking aircraft. personnel and vehicles subjected to airplane spray attacks will be heavily contaminated. When spray ceases to fall, contaminated cellophane covers are thrown over the side of the vehicle. Men inspect each other for drops of agent on gloves and arms and apply protective ointment where needed. Vehicles continue moving until they are out of the contaminated area. As the vehicles proceed, decontamination of the interiors and equipment is begun. Decontamination by the crew members with the materials and equipment carried in the vehicle is what is referred to as first echelon decontamination. Open vehicles complete first echelon decontamination at the first opportunity that the tactical situation permits. Open vehicles are turned sideways to the wind and stopped. When the side upwind is decontaminated, the vehicle is turned around and the other side is decontaminated. Properly executed first echelon decontamination makes it possible for armored force vehicles to continue on their missions with little interruption. When tanks are out of the contaminated area and when the tactical situation permits, they are faced into the wind and brought to a halt. The crew then completes first echelon decontamination. It is important for the crew members to decontaminate thoroughly in front of them as they go to avoid coming in contact with the liquid chemical. A well-trained crew can finish first echelon decontamination when the vehicle is stopped in 3 minutes or less. Before closing into bivouac or before maintenance work can be performed, vehicles must be thoroughly decontaminated. This complete decontamination with the materials and equipment carried in company trucks is referred to as second echelon decontamination. Decon 3s are used for the upper body, weapons, and interior vehicles. When undercarriages are heavily encrusted with mud, it will save time to lay out a wallow course. The wallow course is located in a muddy area, preferably covered by 6 to 8 inches of water. The 200 pounds of lime carried by the company is then spread evenly on the course. Vehicles are run around the course for 500 yards. They should be run as fast as possible and should be zigzagged to increase the scouring action of the lime mud slurry. The apparatus decontamination power-driven, referred to as a Decon PD, has been included in the equipment of maintenance companies in the armored force. Contaminated vehicles taken directly to maintenance parks for repair are decontaminated there with the Decon PD. This is referred to as third echelon decontamination. The Decon PD throws a stream of water with a pressure of 600 pounds per square inch, which makes it ideal for knocking mud off undercarriages. The nozzle operator should be equipped with impervious suits and in gas masks, as the high-pressure water will splash them with contaminated mud. When the vehicle is cleaned by the high-pressure water, a valve is turned which allows the lime slurry, or DANC, to be pumped from the tank through a spray nozzle for neutralizing the persistent gas. With this equipment, 2 or 3 men can decontaminate a large number of vehicles in a short space of time. When it is necessary to send out maintenance crews to work on contaminated vehicles which have been damaged and are heavily encrusted with mud, the Decon PD may be sent out with the tank loaded with water to speed up the removal of the mud. In these cases, after the vehicle has been cleaned by the water carried in the container of the Decon PD, the vehicle is decontaminated with Decon 3s. These tests were made using real mustard gas in hot weather favorable to its use. Various types of armored force vehicles with their crews in uniforms and with exactly the equipment it is expected they will have in combat were subjected to mustard gas, as it may be used in battle. The crews in each instance, after executing first echelon decontamination, continued to drive the vehicles for 1 hour and removed their gas masks after the first 15 minutes. Not one man was burned. It is felt by those who conducted these tests that if our enemies count heavily on the paralyzing effect of their first surprise gas attack on armored force units, the surpriser may be surprised. These tests prove that the armored force is an answer to the enemy's possible use of persistent gas.